What's going on, guys? It's the DeFi Crypto Alliance show where we focus on crypto and real estate, helping people understand what we feel like is the biggest opportunity, that being crypto over the next couple of years, and having the opportunity to diversify by taking crypto gains and going into real estate, which is a great avenue to preserve your wealth while we use crypto to generate wealth is what we talk about here. So we appreciate you guys being on. We already have a really strong show this morning. We have an excellent guest. He's just filling up a little more Dr. Pepper, so he'll be on here shortly, and it's going to be fun today. So welcome, Corey. Go ahead and take it away.
Absolutely. Corey Geary here. And like you had said before, we are on this beautiful journey where we're going to use cryptocurrency as a wealth creation tool and real estate as a wealth preservation tool. And we want to take as many friends as we possibly can and family along for this ride, this wealth creation ride, maybe some generational wealth. And it's just going to be a phenomenal time learning this crypto game. And there's so many intricacies into this game that we're really learning and trying to understand. And one guy who does a really good job of trying to figure out of what, maybe LP pools might be, or what pricing could be in the future, or what the game theory behind, particular actors who might have our best interests at heart, what they're thinking. He's done a really good job of actually also being on Twitter and basically smashing all the haters into the ground over and over again by taking what they say, whatever theories they are against, like, for example, Hex. And he just has a great example of smashing those theories and putting them to rest. And he's probably the most entertaining guy, in my opinion, on Twitter in our community. And that is Mr. Johny Chaos, my man right here. Hey, bro, tell a little about the audience, a little about yourself. We have some guys in here who are just now getting into the cryptocurrency community, especially with Hex. And so they might not know you. Give them a little background of your story, maybe how you found Richard Hart, and maybe even a time of you being wrecked. I'm not sure if I've ever heard a time of you being wrecked, but it would be cool to
Oh
hear.
man, I used to leverage trade, man.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. I used to leverage trade. I used to play those silly games, and I would go to bed with the anxiety and not knowing whether or not my stop loss was triggered. And leverage trading sucks, man. Stop losses are there to make you comfortable with losing a little instead of a lot. That's
Yeah.
what they're there for. That is the only reason they're there. They're just to make you comfortable with losing a little instead of a lot, so you can justify your loss, right? Well, it's not too bad. I only took $1,000 hit. It could have been worse. It could have been a $10,000 hit or 100,000. I'm okay with losing 1,000, but as long as I don't lose 100,000, I'm okay. So what happens? You get used to loss, right?
Yes.
It gets in your programming, and you start getting comfortable with loss in your head, and it's terrible. It's a terrible game to play. And the worst thing is I can predict the price, like totally predict where it's going to go. But before it does, scam wicked. Right before it goes exactly where I want it to go, scam wicked. That happens to you about 20 times, and you go, this is bullshit. Somebody is they got some bots that are literally scalping your positions, and you know where the price is going to go, but it doesn't matter because you get wicked out before it can happen. Like seconds before it goes exactly where you want it to go. It's not a game you can win, because when you are playing on a leverage trading platform, you're playing with your cards face up, and they're playing with their cards face down.
It's like playing blackjack.
But it's worse because you are playing with your cards face up. They know where your positions are. They know where your stop.
But you don't see the dealer's card face down.
Yeah, they know everything, because when you're entering your information, guess what? You're telling them.
Right.
You're telling them exactly what your position is. They know
the
how
majority
far they have to move the price to liquidate your ass, and that's what they do. It's a liquidation machine. That's why we call it the meat grinder. And, I get upset with influencers that refer people to the meat grinder because they're going to have a bad experience with crypto.
Mm-hmm.
That is the worst possible experience you can have with crypto, is going to the meat grinder.
So how did you find RH? So you were leverage trading when you came across RH, and how did that look?
I had given up on crypto uh, because 99% is going to fail.
Yep.
What I was looking for was some sort of passive income. I wanted a ecosystem that I could participate in and earn passive income. That's what I was looking for. Couldn't mine. I priced miners. I priced the electricity. I realized that buying a bunch of miners, I almost bought skids of miners. I thought, I've got a studio. I thought about putting up skids of miners because I saw a real good deal on the miners, but I didn't know a lot about mining. I'm glad I didn't. It didn't make sense that you have to burn this electricity to run a code with specific use case computers that are not used for anything else. They're absolutely nothing but paperweights if you're not using them for mining. So have to have this specific tool, pay a lot of money to specific companies so that you can participate in the ecosystem. That doesn't sound any better than the system we're already in. You got to pay somebody to have the right to participate, right? So when I ran across Richard and he was talking about, when Bitcoin you could mine from your own personal PC, and everybody had the ability to do it if you had the technological know-how, and you could participate in the ecosystem, how Bitcoin was intended. It was intended to be decentralized and allow everybody to participate on everybody's own personal computer, and everybody could, work on the network. Well, it basically got institutionalized. What happened was, two companies now own all the miners, right? So you can no longer do it from your computer because you can't compete. So you have to buy the miner specific. So it basically becomes a gold rush where the companies that are selling the shovels are making all the money. And then those same companies have conflict of interest because those same companies are mining against you. So you're in the same situation with the fiat, you are with the fiat system where the powers that be control the supply and you are just a consumer. So that's not what I wanted at all. What I wanted was an ecosystem that I could participate in. And I listened to Richard and I had just about given up on crypto. And I said, all right, yeah, what this guy's trying to do makes sense. And if he does what I think he's going to do, this is going to be beautiful. Now, I had my doubts, of course, because, I've had bad experience in crypto, right? And it's not because I didn't know how to chart or I didn't know how to read or I didn't know how the markets move, right? No, I knew. Just I kept getting scam whipped, and it pissed me off because
it's funny you hear RH talk about that all the time.
Oh man, no, I mean you feel so cheated. You feel so cheated. You get a 50% dip right after you put in your short, right? You get a 50% dip right after you put in your short, but it pumps just enough to pop your stop loss just before it does. And you're like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It just made,
What time frame was that where you found Richard Hart? At what point in Hex was that?
Way before Hex.
Okay.
It was when he was still talking about building it. And I was following him as he was talking about building it and, what he was trying to build. And it sounded great. It sounded like what I was looking for. So I also tried a lot of the yield bearing coins. I liked stuff like Neo. Neo was generating gas, and it was something that was, passive income, right? I tried like the KuCoin and the Cos coin, which at the time was giving you dust of whatever tokens. So literally what it was they would have exchange fees through their exchange, and it was a centralized exchange, of course, but they would take a percentage of those fees and pay you in those coins. So you get little dust of those coins, which I've got dust of all kinds of coins that have been delisted and are worth absolutely nothing now. And you're only paid in those tokens, similar to like what the automated market maker does now, where you collect fees in those coins. you would hold the specific exchange token, and then you would get paid in dust of those tokens. And you need to know this right now, because you're going to see future reiterations of this that aren't going to work either. Okay. But there was Coscoin, KuCoin that did that specific thing. So KuCoin actually had their exchange token actually allowed you that benefit, and then regulations came in and they said, well, you can't do that. So then you thought you bought a bunch of this coin so that you could earn these other coins, and then they said, oh no, well, actually we're really not supposed to do that. So now the coin doesn't have that attribute to it, right? And then other coins, of course, exchanges go down, and you go down with the exchange. So,
yep.
What do you think of some of these other protocols, like GMX, for instance, that pays users from people coming in and using the protocol, and the stakers get the fees? What do you think about it? Because that feels similar to what you're talking about.
Except for decentralized.
Yeah, but more decentralized. What do you think about systems like that?
I mean, I think we're in the best system. Self-sovereign, trustless yield. I don't think anything can compete with that. And like I said, the key thing is, we're totally being scammed by the shitcoin that is fiat, and that is because it has an inflation bug, it has admin keys, it has pre-allocations, it has unlimited inflation.
It's like the worst cryptocurrency ever.
It's the worst cryptocurrency ever. If it were a cryptocurrency, and why does it have value? That's the question, right? So this is the key point that I kind of want to drive the conversation on, is because we bust our ass for this, right? And what is this? It's backed by nothing. It's absolutely backed by nothing. This is monopoly money in the game that we're being forced to play. Parker Brothers can print as much as they want. So can the Fed.
Yeah.
Okay. We're playing their game by their rules with their currency that they give us, because it's worth nothing. Now, what gives it value? We know that we can take those dollar bills and we can go to the store. My TV popped out. We can go to the store and we can exchange those dollar bills for the things that we need, food, whatever, luxury items, whatever. You can take it, and that there's a rate of exchange, right? So what actually gives something value is not what it is. It's what it can be traded for.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And we'll work a little backwards here, because I got some examples, because I really want to drive this point, because we spend our whole life chasing monopoly money that the government says has value. Okay. And we have to pay our taxes in it, but that's the truth. We are playing a board game here, guys. Okay. So there's a 20. A 20 is worth 20 of these. Look, it's the same exact size, right? It's the same exact size. What gives that more value? The number on it? Same paper, same everything, right? It's because that 20 can be exchanged for 20 of these. And this is where this is going to lead into that conversation that you want to get into about ratios and stuff. Here, no different here, guys. Card game. Why are these worth $5 a piece, and why are these worth 5 cents a piece? They have the same functionality, exact same functionality. You see that black border? That's the difference. The black border is the difference. That's why these are worth 5 and these are only worth 10. So you got to understand, value is an abstract thing. Value is something that we assign. Again, what gives these cards value? What gives these cards value is, like I said, I could trade this one for $5. Then I could trade my $5 for other things, right? You familiar with these?
Oh, yeah. I used to do blackjack for a living.
We got a red one, and that color is synonymous with how much?
$5.
There you go. You got a $5 chip. You got a green
25.
one. There you go. And then you got a black one.
100. All
right. So what's the difference? They're the same size. They're made out of the same plastic. Logic says these things cost the same to make, right?
That they do.
But because they can be exchanged This one could be exchanged for $5. This one could be exchanged for $25, and this one could be exchanged for $100. These have more purchase value because they can be exchanged for that other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Another item. What gives these value?
Diamonds.
What gives these value? And yes, it is a prop. I'm not holding a freaking golf ball diamond here.
Yeah, you can exchange it for other things, goods and services, money, different things.
For the most part, you're going to exchange this for dollars, right?
For wives.
Yeah, we want
and then
those
the dollars
because...
are going to get you what you want, right?
Yeah.
What's gold backed by? What's gold backed by?
Our demand for it?
Yeah, sentiment.
I mean,
everything comes down to whether or not you can exchange that thing for other things. That's what it comes down to. And diamonds, by the way, are not rare.
Right.
They're controlled. So when people start talking about market cap, they're talking about all the diamonds that are still in the ground that you can't see. All right. When I talk about supply, I'm talking about the diamonds that are available in the case for sale at any given moment. That matters. Market cap doesn't. For some reason, people think on blockchain that market cap matters because they want to count all the diamonds in the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can do that on blockchain because you know how many are made. You can't do that with gold. You can't do that with diamonds. You can have an idea of how much you think there is, but there's so much of the world that is not even discovered. You can't really put an assessment on how much material there actually is, right? So the people that control ration it onto the market according to the demand, giving it a higher value. Okay. And if you don't,
really quick, let's run with that idea. So I think it's a really interesting analogy where the gold is in the ground and the diamonds are, and you've got to go mine them out, and so it takes a lot of work. Theoretically, with crypto, I mean, once if we're talking about something like
waste isn't value. That's something that people don't understand. They want to equate it with work. Why? Because they got us chasing dollar bills that we have to work with. That's how our minds are programmed. Waste is not value. Okay. I could go say I had a diamond mine in my backyard. Does it matter? Diamonds are worth X amount of money. How much work did I have to do? What if I lived on a river full of diamonds that were just flowing by and I could just pick them up out of there and sell them to you? Does it matter how much work I did? Or does the thing still have the amount of value because you have the ability to trade that for the other things you want? So waste is not value.
But the ability to be able to trade something more easily than not is a big differentiator.
Yes.
So with your example, I think it's interesting. If you're looking at gold or diamonds, you've got to go mine them. Whereas living next to a river where they just flow out of freely, that you can go pick up with your hands and exchange for other things. I think that's, and I'd love to be corrected if you feel differently. I feel like that's a better example of crypto where, for many cryptocurrencies and Hex, of course, you have inflation that's built in. So there's more supply coming out over time. But
dynamic deferred inflationary model, first of its kind.
Right.
Dynamic deferred inflationary model, first of its kind. And that's what the experiment is.
And that's kind of the knock that a lot of people, not on Hex, but in crypto in general, right, is like anybody that's a large holder, it's easy to go and exchange these for something else, dump the price. And that's where, people get scared about market cap and supply and things of that nature. Yeah. What would you say to that?
Market cap doesn't count. Available supply counts.
Right.
How many are in the case? How many are available and how much demand is there? For instance, the reason why Hex is able to pump so crazy is because you're talking about 100 million pulse, or 100 million pulse. Good God, Pulsechain in my head. 100 million Hex available in the case at any given time. That means 10 people can buy 10 million. That means one billionaire can't come in and clear out the case unless sellers start selling. So there's only so many available. If you're hungry, and somebody buys the last hot dog at the hot dog stand, that last hot dog becomes very, very valuable.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
I like to equate it to real estate, Dane. You have your inventory on the MLS, and that determines pricing. It doesn't your total supply of houses doesn't determine pricing at all. Like it has nothing
Nope.
to do
Just available
with
inventory,
what's being
right?
sold on the MLS. And we've seen in the last 10 years, me and you have this write up that we had because of limited supply, because of the hedge funds buying of what the inventory was on the MLS. But we still had, me and you had an unlimited supply because we were going off market to get our deals. And so that's the way I like to equate it to, you know, with market cap and available supply. If all the houses came on the market all at once, what would happen to pricing?
Right.
You know?
Anything you sell all at once, because so I like to do this too. People like say, oh, these whales they're dumping. Those are not sophisticated traders. Any monkey can slam a sell button. Okay. Those people are getting the worst possible price. When you market sell, you're getting the worst possible price. You are not a sophisticated trader if you're market selling. However, this is how crypto's always been done, because they panic the market and then they buy it back up at the bottom, right? But the fact is, if you take a collection of comic books to a pawn shop and you say, I want to sell this, are you going to get the best price? No. If you sell them individually and you're in a position where you have to wait for the best price, and you can wait for the best price, and you're not in a hurry to sell, you're going to make the most amount of money. You're not going to make the most amount of money dumping anything on the market. You are literally devaluing the rest of your holdings by doing so. So that's not sophisticated at all. That's simply being in an abundance mindset. You are the guy that lives on the side of the river where the diamonds just flow down, and you just give them away willy-nilly because you don't value them, because you have plenty of them, so you don't see that you have any value in them. And until you start valuing them, no one else is going to. So what you do by giving it away, you are saturating the market. You're devaluing your own personal opportunity, because you are in a position where you hold a large supply, right? You don't go buy a TV from Best Buy and then come home and put it in the garage sale. But that's what people are literally doing. And you get unit bias because you have so many.
Yeah.
That you don't understand how lucky you are or how much value it has. Have you ever had something where stupid TV? I don't know why this is kicking out every 5 minutes. Oh, there you guys are. Okay. Have you ever had something that somebody's like, oh my God, I will give you $50 for that, and you're like, this piece of junk? Because you don't know what you hold, right?
Right.
I had a girl once buy the shirt off my back. That was really funny. She's like, oh my God, I love frogs. And then this frog shirt that said Total Chaos on it. And it's like a $5 shirt or something. It's just a cheap shirt. She's like, I love frogs. I have to have that shirt. And she's like, I will give you $20 for it right now. I'm like, right now? And she's like, yes, I'll give you $20 for it right now. I was like, and I had a spare shirt in my car, so I just went and got that. It happened in college. It was a really funny thing. I was like, man, that is the most creative way a girl's ever got me out of my clothes.
That's pretty good. I like that.
And of course, I got I just like the shirt, But anyway.
Right. All right, so I like where we're going. Let's talk about Hart's Law. Is that probably the next best thing to segue into?
Yeah, as long as we touch somewhere, because Johnny's got a new theory on Pulsechain launch price. That's what I really wanted to drive home.
Let's go.
They're not going to like that. They're not going to like that.
I know, but
they're not going to like that.
Let's go with Hart's Law really quick.
Let's go Hart's Law first.
This is a really big talking
because they will like that, Johnny.
So the reason I came in with the idea of value, okay, and try to explain the value, explain the dollar bills, throw the little example of the card, throw the example of the poker chips, is all leading up to getting the basic premise and understanding of value, and the fact that what gives something value is the ability to exchange it for certain things. Okay. Now, the automated market makers is set up with a X times Y equals K equation. Okay. And what that is there's basically two pools that give you your value. Okay. So if these pools are very small, then, if you take 3 out of here, it greatly affects, the other one. right? But if you have very large pools, you can remove them all day long and you can almost set the ratios. So, like, just for instance, this chip is always worth $5 at the casino, right?
Yep.
This chip is always worth $100 at the casino. That doesn't change. The exchange rate is set up by the casino, okay? And it's always worth that. Well, tokens can be bonded in that way. How is the casino able to do that? Because they both own the dollars and the chips. And those dollars and those chips are in pools, okay? And they know if you put this in, you can take out this many dollars. And that is what liquidity bonding is. And if they have a large amount, you can do that as long as those are available. As long as both sides are available, you can do that all day long. You can put your chip in, take out your money, put your money in, take out your chip. Just like that. Just like that. Now, the OA owning those coins and owning the sacrifice money, guess what he gets to do?
Set those ratios.
Yeah. And those ratios, since a majority of the coins are owned that everybody seems to hate, but they forget the fact that everything, any successful ERC20 token is highly centralized. Listen very closely. Every successful ERC20 token is highly sensitive.
I don't hate Hex. I freaking love Hex.
Who said you hate Hex?
I love. I thought you said the ERC20 everyone hates. I thought you refer.
No, this is what everybody hates. Hates is the
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
They
We see
hate
it all
the
the
OA.
time.
They hate the OA thing, but they don't realize if you go on to Etherscan and you type in tokens and you click holders, you're going to find any successful token. Now they might get it. This is the team. This is the founder. This is the lockup. This is, you know what? Top 100 wallets own 90%. And there's a chart for that. But you don't got to believe me. You go on Etherscan, you look it up. By the way, BNB was 99.25% owned by the top 100 wallets until I pointed it out. And now they've split it out in little daughter addresses and stuff. But there's a reason for that. Because when you have a majority of the supply, you can ration it to the market, which allows for better price performance.
Yeah.
If you give plebs hundreds of millions of them, they don't know what to do with it. And they dump it. They push buttons like monkeys. And then you get ridiculous price volatility because they themselves do not value what they hold, and they love to devalue the rest of their holdings by tapping that sellout button. So you can't have good price performance when you have fair and even distribution, which everybody wants to try as a social experiment. You know what happens when you get up? Here, let me give you the chart for fair and even distribution.
Oh, yeah, we've seen
We got
that.
one of those trolling in our chat right now. Fair and even distribution. How's that working out for you there, bud? So we won't name it. We won't say it, but there's your fair and even distribution because people do not value what they can just pop out of thin air.
And
now,
even
what
that's
makes that
not
different?
fair.
Because people, that's the argument about Hex is people are like, well, you can just pop Hex out of thin air. No, you can't. Hex has a dynamic deferred inflationary model, which means new Hex doesn't come out until the future. And if you don't honor your terms, it goes farther into the future.
Yeah.
If they don't honor their terms, it goes farther into the future. So the actual increase in supply is minimal. And the actual available supply that's actually available for sale is a smaller amount than people realize. And that's what allows it to have the better price performance. However, until people stop selling their future dollars for pennies, we're not going to go anywhere. If the audience does not believe that Hex is worth $1, it's not, because they'll always sell for pennies. Until you start believing and valuing what you hold and realizing that there are other people out there that are willing to pay more than what you paid, because you get deal bias, right? You got such a good deal, you think, oh, well, if I just make a little bit of money, that's good. You get deal bias. You know, oh, look, if I could double my money, that's a great deal. Hey, you go play blackjack. Why? You want to double your money. That's it. A double's good. Cryptos can do thousands of X, guys. You're cutting yourself short. You're shooting yourself in the foot. You know, it wasn't easy to get here. There was 13 retracements to get here. You know,
Mm-hmm.
You only had, the people that just coming in, they're like, oh, this is awful. We're down 90%. Yeah. It's happened before 12 other times. Look at the chart. That's nothing new. Richard says volatility is the price we pay for the highest performing asset in the world.
Love that saying.
So with that being said, we know you're a humongous Richard Hart Hex, Hex advocate. With everything that you're saying, I mean, I think it's plain to see that you value Hex very highly. There's a lot of narratives about how someone could build out a staking ladder and how long to stake and things of that nature. What are your thoughts in regards to, someone that's new coming into the ecosystem? How might they think about staking from how you view the ecosystem?
Right now, if you're just coming in, you get your Hex, and I would hold it liquid until you can bridge it over to Pulsechain. Especially if you're a small player, I would get your Hex at these prices because they're not going to stay. And once we take off, we're not going to return. You're going to have deal bias. There's a lot of people who probably got deal bias, but once we leave these levels, look, you're not going to go back in time and buy $100 Ethereum. You're not going to go back in time and buy $1,000 Bitcoin. Okay. Once price levels get left behind, they get left behind in crypto. And we have a new network that's going to be allowing you to utilize Hex as it was intended to, without absorbent fees cutting into your profits. But right now, the Ethereum network is kind of very unpredictable. I suspect that they're going to have to do something to adjust their gas fees just to stay relevant.
Right.
But they're pretty damn good at shooting themselves in the foot right now. So I would plan on migrating it over to Pulse, as you can. And I expect that there will be liquidity available for you to do that with. So instead of selling your Ethereum Hex, you should be able to just exchange it onto the other chain. So you're not actually going to damage the price. There will be probably a liquidity pool that will just allow you to trade one for one. That's what I suspect. Because that would be like a perfect escape ramp for people that are in the burning building that is Ethereum right now.
But if everyone's doing that, if everyone's swapping their EHEX for PHEX, I understand that your theory of the really huge pools bonded by the OA should help, with price parity and mitigate. But if everyone's doing that, shouldn't we see EHEX basically dump?
No, because that is removed from the market by the OA. You understand? You're just exchanging it. It doesn't impact the price. You're trading a Hex for a Hex. You're not trading a Hex for $1.
Right, because you're not if they're so let me bring up a
universal conduit between chains that allows Hex to be removed off of both chains, making supply even more scarce. Because once you trade it, you would have to trade to go back. You're trading your dollar for a chip, and then you're trading your chips back for dollars.
Right. Okay.
So I brought up this example. I've been doing more research on Hart's Law because I want to make sure that I wrap my head around this, and I felt like maybe I just hadn't. So here on this spreadsheet, and I'd love to, if I'm wrong here or there's something I need to understand better, I'd love the feedback. Let me make this a little bit bigger. All right. So essentially what I've done here is I've got our current Hex and our Ethereum prices. I know they're not exact, but I just threw this together really quick as an example. If at these prices, and we're working on an assumption here for this example, that the only pair that we're looking is the Hex to ETH and the ETH to Hex pair. And so with pricing being here, then they're essentially trading at a ratio where 1 ETH equals 0.00003 Hex.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the X times Y equals K math, then essentially if ETH, as it goes up, given on the basis that Hex is not necessarily actively being traded. Now, I know that that's not reality, but we're just trying to wrap our heads around how this value works. Like Johnny's saying, you're trading your Hex for Hex. Here we're trading hex for ETH. We're not valuing these in dollars per se because we're talking about them in hex ETH terms. But if we do look at these in dollar terms, then if they stay at this same ratio, because they should, because they're bonded, we're assuming they're bonded in really thick liquidity here, then as Ethereum moves up from $1,800 to $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, then that automatically increases the dollar value, if you will, for hex also, because it's denominated, at least in this pair, in relationship to Ethereum. So it's denominated as this much of Ethereum. So if ETH is this price, then hex is 17 cents, $10,000, 33 cents, so on and so forth. Are you guys following? Does that make sense?
Yeah, assuming there's no buy and sell pressure inside that pool. We're just talking about the ratio as it's moving up.
Right, exactly. So this is where Hart's Law comes into effect. And Johnny, this is the part that I like your help with. If this liquidity is incredibly thick, well then, and we could even change this like hex to hex. It doesn't matter that much for this example. If the liquidity here is really thick, then any individual player or even groups of people, they can't change the ratios in these pools very easily because they're not the casino. They don't hold all of the chips and all of the dollars in the establishment. Is that accurate?
Right. So it's very simple. There isn't 10 billion hex to add to one side of the liquidity pool to change it from a 1-to-1 to a 2-to-1 in that particular scenario. And 10 billion hex is a small percentage of total supply and a small percentage of the total supply that the OA actually owns. So very easily they could set up a pool of 10 billion to 10 billion, which does not allow it's a high enough number that if everybody bonded together, you couldn't change the ratio from a 1-to-1 to a 2-to-1. But you're looking at dollars. You're looking at dollars here, and we're not talking dollars yet, because what happens is you have one pool that's paired with the dollar. Everything else would be a ratio to PLSS or PLS. Okay.
Right.
So the dollar value, once bridged in, would be determined by assigning that with the native token, and then everything else would be a ratio to that native token, which is also able to be large liquidity pools if necessary. So you could have 10 billion hex to 2 trillion pulse. And the same ratio could be set up to where, it's always going to be 200 pulse or whatever, or 200, 2000, whatever. That can be set, that's always a value. If it so chose to, right?
And if that were to occur, the OA would need to continue to maintain said ratio. And they could do, no?
No, because there's not enough coins available for people to move it. That is the part of centralization that makes things successful that people don't want to talk about. They want to use decentralization as a buzzword, but what makes a business work is that the business builds something, they hold the supply, and they ration it.
Right.
That's what makes a business work. You don't devalue your own product by saturating the market with your product. That is so. This idea of decentralization, it's a buzzword. None of the ERC20 tokens out there actually are. None of them. Not a single successful one. Now, if you want to show me ones that are failing, this might be. Go ahead, vote for your decentralization socialistic system. How's that socialistic system of fair distribution work out? It never works out.
So talk a little bit more about, and this is just my lack of understanding. So with your example of 10 billion tokens, no individual player, even a decent group, could go in and impact this heavily, but they could impact it in a certain respect. When they do impact it, what do you mean that it doesn't need to be maintained in some respect?
No, they can't impact it. There is not 10 billion coins. In order to change a ratio from a 1-to-1 to a 2-to-1, you have to double one side of the liquidity. You have to put twice the chips in one side to change the liquidity from a 1-to-1 to a 2-to-1 ratio.
And
If there
nobody has
isn't
another
10
10
billion
billion.
coins available, you cannot change that ratio. That's it. So yes, and people are like, oh, I don't like these controls. You know what? You know what? You like your dollars? Hey, guess what? You're under control. You like your Bitcoin? Banks own more than you. Centralized exchanges own more than you. 2,000 people own 40% of all the coins. You are playing someone else's game, no matter what game you're playing. So get over yourself and realize the game that's being played and how it can benefit you. And that's
where does your surety come from? I feel like you're the most sure person in the entire Richard Hart ecosystem. That's just like the OA is going to bond all this liquidity together and we're going to sing kumbaya. Where does all your surety come from? Because I'm like, there's something here that Johnny's saying a lot of really important things. He's so sure of it. And I'm like, what am I missing here? Like, why do I not have the same surety?
All right, let's talk about you having control.
Okay,
let's say you have control. If you could promote your product and it would cost you $0, would you do it?
Of
course.
Yeah.
If you could protect your product's name and brand and it cost you $0, would you do it?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
If you could create an amplifier to make your product seem more valuable, would you do it?
Absolutely.
Of course, especially if it's not.
If you could get 200 times the value out of your coin with $0 cost, would you do it?
Yeah, of course.
That's what the liquidity bonding does. So if anybody could tell me why not to do it, I'm happy to hear about it. Because what it does is if Hex is worth 200 Pulse, right? And Pulse moves a penny, how much is a Hex worth?
A lot.
If you could trade one Hex for 200 Pulse and Pulse is a penny.
Oh, it'd be 200 pennies. So is that $2?
$2, yes. You see?
Yeah.
So if Pulse moves another penny, how much is a Hex?
It doubles, so it'd be $4.
Pulse moves another penny, how much is a Hex?
It'd be $6.
You see the problem here. Something is valued by what it is paired with and what it can be traded with. If you have the ability to set up a pool with a ratio that benefits your product, and there's a high demand for this new product, and you can give a nice rate to the product that you already exist as a trade-in value, why wouldn't you do it? There's where my confidence comes from. That
makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because Richard and his team are the ones that create the supply. It doesn't cost. They don't have to go buy it off the market. It's their product. They can go do what they want with it, bond it in liquidity with it, whatever they want, and protect it by creating thick liquidity between the pairs that they want to keep in certain ratios.
Not Richard, Greg the Duck.
Greg the Duck.
Richard's just chilling, you know.
Well, he said Richard in the team.
Yeah, and there's no T. Yeah, that's Greg the Duck, bro.
I said it wrong, right?
That's for sure.
Right. Have you seen the test nets?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, this last test net had large liquidity. Do you think that's coincidence? That this
but you could bridge in infinite test die and make whatever liquidity. I could do that away. You know what I mean?
No. But I'm not saying that. When you look at the test nets, every single one of them, what was the result? What was the most expensive coin on there?
I think it was Hex, wasn't it?
Hex, yeah. Hex.
$8, $10
every time.
Yeah. How do you think that happens? Because of the pairing. Now, is that going to be the pairing? I can't say that. I can't tell you what the pairing is going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. But what I can say is you see already what benefits with the pairings that have been tried so far. If you're getting these test results, wouldn't you think you'd like to replicate that in reality if it's like really pumping the shit out of the thing that you'd like to see pump? If you know what causes that after running these test nets, wouldn't you think that you might want to replicate that?
Absolutely.
That's so super bullish for Hex. And Richard has said many times, I've seen in his live streams, people ask him, hey, what's your favorite out of the 3 cryptos that you're making? He always goes back and says Hex.
Hex.
That's always Hex is his favorite.
Well, Richard is showing everybody how it's actually done, how to actually create a coin that actually pumps Hex. Since everybody has their own ideas on how to extract value out of the Hex community and say it's going to pump Hex. Oh, no. It's going to be good for Hex, I promise. No, Richard's going to show you how it's actually done. And how it's actually done is through liquidity bonding. It's utilizing the new incoming demand and linking it to that thing that is popular in order to drive the price farther with large liquidity pools. That's why. When Richard says these things can go higher than you can imagine, he means it. Because nobody's imagining it. Apparently, the only person running around like a lunatic imagining it is me.
That's true.
You know how frustrating it is? It's like you try to explain to everybody and try to get them to see what you're seeing, and it's they're like, okay, but what? It's like, okay, tell me, why would you do this? It makes no sense. Why not to do it? You provide a universal conduit between chains. You protect the Ethereum side, your baby that everybody's going to point at and go, ha, it's down, right? If something were to crash on Ethereum, you preserve it by pairing it, creating that universal conduit between chains and preserve it, creating an arbitrage opportunity between chains, which allow it to drive price to an equilibrium to create parity. You also allow the OA to remove Hex off the market that people would otherwise dump in order to try to transfer it from chain to chain. You remove that liquidity from the market because you are creating the predominant pair. You dilute the liquidity pool, preserving Hex's premier store of value because you don't want the liquidity pools to outperform Hex staking. Okay? But you also provide a stable liquidity pool for liquidity providers to earn Hex on both chains at a smaller rate, but a stable pool where they don't have to suffer impermanent loss, and they're able to earn Hex at both on both chains, a little bit of each. Okay. What else does it allow?
Yeah, I didn't think about that part. The last part.
Say that last part again. Say that one more time.
Yeah.
What was the last part? I forget.
You're incentivizing people to actually provide liquidity with their EHEX and PHEX because they're not going to be suffering a permanent loss.
Yeah, stable liquidity pool that doesn't allow permanent loss, and you're able to collect Hex on both chains. In the meantime, the OA owning a majority of that allows it to remove a majority of the Hex off the chain by diluting that liquidity pool, preserving Hex's premier store value.
Because and when you say that they're able, and you mean because they're absorbing it as the liquidity provider, correct?
Because they get the fees,
right?
Yeah. Right. Do you want to know how Richard makes money? Let me tell you how Richard makes money. He has a pairing of USDC and Pulse. That's how he makes money. He can just pull out the fee in the USD and then remove the Pulse from the market.
Right.
That's it. That is an endless paycheck forever. That's all he has to do.
Well, I would argue he's probably been doing that with Hex the whole time as well. Been generating fees and
he probably has liquidity in the USD Hex pair, and that's why he's able to make money off of that without ever spending a Hex.
Yeah.
Okay. So these people that say Richard is going to dump, they're an idiot. You know why they're an idiot?
I agree.
Because they don't understand there are other ways to earn money other than dumping on your people, because that's all they know. They're thinking, oh, I would take a lump sum cash settlement. That's not how you run a business, guys.
No.
You guys know that.
Yeah.
The lump sum mentality, you run out of money. He has created a factory that's going to pay him forever. Forever.
Right.
And I don't care how much Richard makes. I don't give a shit. If I'm a millionaire because of Richard's thing that he built and I'm able to use it, I don't give a shit what he makes.
Right.
It doesn't bother me. It doesn't concern me. I'm not mad. I'm not jealous. I think it's awesome that he thought of a way to create this. And I don't think running off and building my own project and trying to put myself at the top of the food chain is a bright idea, because I'm competing with the best thing that has ever been made.
Yeah.
Why? Why would I put myself through that and risk the chance of failing when this system is so awesome that it could just keep paying me forever? Greed. People want greed, man. They want to build something and put themselves at the top of the food chain because they can't settle. They cannot stand for somebody to come up with something more creative than them, or a system or way of doing things that gives them a higher advantage than them.
Ego
You know?
too. Egos comes a big play into crypto. I don't know why. It seems like everyone's got an ego problem in crypto.
This is a good point. What are your thoughts on this, Johnny? Yeah, we have to consider that these liquidity pools are using V2 code, which means price can run much harder than with V3 for the same dollars in the pool.
Yeah, so you also have to keep in mind these are all separate pools. You got hex to hex, you got pulse to hex, you got pulse to USDC, and then pulsex in there or whatever. But what you have is you have routing and one pool, because you can concentrate all your money in one pool and link everything else together. So everything has to route through PLS, which everything routing through PLS with hex with a high multiplier will multiply the shit out of hex, right? Because everything has to go through PLS, which has the US dollar value. But
And
instead of having
you could build that routing in PulseX to make it route that way. Is what you're saying, right?
Yeah. And instead of splitting your money in all these different pools, you only pair one with the US dollar value. Okay. Now there will be smaller pools. People will put their stuff in, but those pools get overpowered by the larger pools. It's just how it works. They eventually get wiped out as it goes through. The larger pools take predominance and have the most impact on the price. So that's the routing. Now here's the part that nobody likes. This was the part I was saying I was going to say that nobody likes, what you were asking about, is I think that the sacrifice money, 1/10 of that could be taken and paired up with Pulse, and that would give a baseline of 1/10 of the SAC balance. 1/10 of SAC balance to create as a reserve or a bottom line, okay, for it to be the starting price for PLS. And I don't think, because that gives you a 10% reserve and 90% working capital. Okay. And that way, dumpers are not going to want to dump.
That's 4 zeros and a 1. Is that
so that would be reflective of it opening at a 90% discount of the best SAC rate? Is that accurate?
That's 4 zeros and a 1. Is that correct? Am I?
That's the idea. 10% of the money will be paired. Take 10% of the money that was sacrificed to create the initial liquidity, creating a baseline of 10% of the initial value. So basically, it becomes like a stock buyback. Okay, you want to sell it back? Fine, we'll buy it back for 1/10. Okay. No, seriously. You want out? You want to take such a hit? That's fine. We'll sell it to somebody else at full price. So it's a stock buyback. And what that does is that creates a floor so that it can never go to zero because there's not enough coins to dump the price to zero. If everybody's willing to sell their coins at 90%, then you get a zero. Who's going to sell their coins at 90% off? Not a lot of them.
Not a lot.
And besides that, a lot of the coins are already OA. So even at 10%, you can't sell all the coins down 90%. You understand?
Yep.
But if you start there, guess what? You can only go up. That's how you get your 10,000x. Because you can only go up. Because there's not enough coins to sell the price down to zero.
Right.
Okay.
What would you with this theory? What would you and once again, you guys, everything on this show, we don't, we're not financial advisors. We don't share financial advice. All those type of disclosures. We're just shooting the breeze on some ideas that could come to pass, may not. With this theory in mind, what is your gut telling you? What's the likelihood in your mind of this actually occurring at launch?
I can't think of a reason why it wouldn't.
You're feeling really confident about
that. That's what's frustrating me, because first of all, I like the holes. I like to pick the holes and things. I like to see point of failures, and I'm not finding one. This sounds like game over to me, and it's too easy. It's too easy. And
are you talking to Richard in the background?
no,
Johnny's the OA. He's just not going to say
Johnny's Greg
No.
the Duck.
if I was setting it up, that's exactly what I would do. And that's why I'm saying if I was to do it, that's exactly what I would do. And like I said, people are not going to like it because there's a lot of people that want to dump because they expect a 10x profit at launch, and they're expecting that, and they're not going to get it unless there is ample demand. And the starting price, first of all, you were told the price was going to start at 0. Right. So who cares how many zeros in a 1 there is, guys? Get over yourself. Understand that's how it's got to be pumped. If you want a price chart that just goes up, comes down, and never touches 0, then this is what needs to be done, because there are people that want to dump, and that is opportunity for you in the beginning.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you're one of those people that want to dump, then you're going to have to wait until it hits a price point that you're willing to sell at. You should not be incentivized. No one's going to give you a $10 bill for your dollar. You're not going to go in the bank and say, give me a $10 bill for my dollar. You can't expect that to happen. Well, the bank's open. I want a $10 bill for my dollar. You need to understand that's not how it works, right? So people that are going to be mad, it's going to suck for them. People that are wanting to add to their position are going to eat that up.
It'd be remarkable.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
As the numbers dump, the buyers are going to come in, and we're going to see what real demand actually looks like.
I got a crap ton of dry powder on the sidelines waiting for an opportunity just like that.
Randy, you're absolutely right. Every project in history does pump and dump, but there's a way to mitigate some of that risk. And if it does dump, they're going to be taking a haircut. You want to set up a haircut scenario. And Richard will tell you, what do you expect Pulse to launch at? God, I hope it's low. That's a Richard quote. God, I hope it's low. Why? Because the lowest prices have the ability to pump so hard. How do you think certain coins that are socialistically distributed go up so high? Because it ain't worth selling, and people think it's cheap, so they buy it. That's how it pumps. And then when it hits a certain price point, then people don't.
Yep. I want to wrap my head around this a little bit, Johnny. Maybe you could help me. Say the demand pre-bridge, though, and everyone's swapping out of their hex and their pulse hex into pulse, and it's basically the ratios are they're swooshing around, and pulse, the ratio goes really in the pulse favor. When the bridge comes in, will those starting ratios have any effect of initial pricing when that bridge comes in?
Yeah. Yeah. Because if one hex is worth 200 pulse, pulse is worth a penny, hex is now $2. Period. Because you can trade the hex for the 200 pulse that are worth a penny and then trade it for dollars. That's the routing. That's how routing works. So that's why Unisocks went up to $40,000, not because that's a really sharp pair of socks.
The pre-bridge then ratio trading could really start Pulse at a much higher, like a 10x when the bridge comes in. It could really set the stage for it to open up at a much higher valuation than we're anticipating then.
That's true. But the liquidity will be available at 1/10 of SAC price is what I think. Because like I said, that it's like fractional reserve banking, dude. 10% and 90% working capital.
Yeah.
If the OA so chooses, now it has 90% of that money to shake people out. So what's going to happen is there will be sell-offs, and they'll get smashed. There will be sell-offs, and they will get smashed. So go ahead, man. You guys in a hurry that are ready to push your button to sell your pulls for that quick money that you need right back, go ahead, push that button.
Please, me and Dane have been begging you for months.
We'll welcome it, yes.
As I told people,
because as far as we're aware right now, Pulsex will be version 2 technology for Uniswap, and so the OA can't go set concentrated liquidity at a level at which they want people to dump. So what do you mean when you say, well, liquidity, they'll set liquidity at 90% off? They can't necessarily, right? They can set the ratio and then you just dump it in and it's off to the races.
Yeah. You have to start a ratio.
Right.
So there will be X amount of Pulse provided with X amount of US dollars once it's bridged.
Right.
That doesn't start there. That doesn't start there. You don't get that US dollar bridged in value to start with. It's all ratios to start with.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So that isn't bridged in until later. And there are multiple bridges. So we've got Portal X, we've got Pulse Ramp.
Yep.
We will have other bridges. I don't know everything that's being connected up to it. I mean, you only really need one bridge, but I don't know all the other things that are being connected up to it. But yeah, this is going to be freaking awesome. And it might take a while for Pulse to get anywhere. It really might take a while for it to get anywhere. Because
I'm hoping. I encourage it because it just gives me more opportunity to keep DCAing as we're moving along here. I mean, I hope so.
If you want to go traditionally, people like Samia tell you, 120 days, 90 days before you really see like a pump. Randy will tell you that, usually after the first allocation, you'll see a quick sell-off. But nothing has really been built under these particular circumstances, right? Things have been built. Pulse does not need to generate value for the founder. Okay.
No. Yeah.
The value has already been there. There's already been money raised, and it is being built for glory. So there are ways to make the best looking chart in crypto history. And that would be to start it at a 10% discount so that the price only goes up. You want that opening price to be a unachievable number. You want it as close to humanly possible to zero as you can, because then it can only go up and it can never go zero. You follow me? And you do that by controlling the supply.
How would you so let's so based on the thinking that you just described over the show, I think Tom asked a great question. It's one I'm wondering. How and everybody play your hand according to how you feel the play. How might, if these parameters shake out the way that they do, how might you play your hand if these parameters are that way, Johnny?
So this is one of the questions that people do have for me, because they're like, I said I'm a net buyer of Pulse for the first year. And people are like, well, you love Hex and you think Hex is going to get the best benefit of it. Why would you buy Pulse instead if you're such a Hex person? Because Pulse pumps Hex 200x. That's why. Buying Pulse will pump Hex. So I'm getting more of a new asset. Okay. And because I'm purchasing that new asset, it's going to multiply my already existing Hex holdings in value. That's why. So in the past, what has happened is people will sell their Hex to buy another coin, and that makes the value go down. Okay. In this case, because of the liquidity bonding and the amplification factor, buying Pulse will only pump Hex. You can't go wrong. Now, I expect there to be dips. So my strategy for this is, when everybody's bitching and whining and crying because the Pulse price is down, I'm going to do a market buy. Okay. And every time that happens, when people are screaming and crying and moaning the most, I'm going to do market buy. I expect to put in, at least $100 a week on those days when people are crying the most. And Crypto Coffee's got a good video together of what would have happened if you would have just bought $100 a week every day or every week for the first part of Hex. You'd have $100,000.
Right.
Or the first year of Hex. Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't matter where the price was. And then, so you got to watch Crypto Coffee's video on the strategy of dollar cost averaging.
How do you feel about Pulsex? Are you a net buyer there initially as well? What are your thoughts on Pulsex?
I don't think it matters which coin you buy.
They're all going to be bonded in liquidity, and so
they're going to be bonded in liquidity. So that's another thing, right? So if Hex has a bonding with Pulsex, it gets the benefits of the buy and burn as well.
I was just going to say that as Pulsex big buyer Barry's coming in and doing his thing, it's bringing up the other assets with it.
I think they're going to move together, much like the rest of the market moves with Bitcoin. But I think we're creating kind of a parallel universe that once we have our own on and off ramps, we can truly break that decorrelation. I really would like to see us be the Amazon of crypto. I'd like to see us get 40% of all new users into our network because we actually make it usable, easy to access, and affordable for people, and create a path that makes it very convenient for people to use our ecosystem. They might not care what happens over there. If their first experience is with us, how are you going to explain a $30 or $100 gas fee to them? They'll be like, screw that. I ain't going over there.
Right.
So
you only onboard rich people into Ethereum.
but like I'm saying, if their first experience is with us and we're able to set up the ecosystem that we like the design with the accessibility and affordability of everything, Cryptographics really wants to get into these damn numbers.
Yeah, he does. This is a great question. Pools are based off of their Ethereum pairs, though, which will have a ratio. Currently, that starting ratio based off of V2 tokens right now is 38.7 to 1 Pulse Hex, 90% from SAC equals Hex at 0.00038.
Yeah, so we're not going to have. So here's the thing, okay? Everybody, for content purposes, has assigned a dollar value based on SAC rate to Pulse.
Right.
You were promised a token that is worth 0.
Yep.
There was never a dollar value. This is an assigned mental level or barrier where people are setting prices according to what they feel that they paid. But what you pay is price. Value is what you get. So this is where people need to separate that price from value concept. You're getting a 0 value token, but that price could be anywhere. Anywhere. You know, or I guess it's 0 price, plenty of value, I guess would be the way to put that, right? So don't put a price tag, putting a price tag on it before it exists. It doesn't even exist yet. You can't put a price tag on it yet. None of us can.
So are you going to be, or what would you say about ratio trading before the bridge comes in? Is that something to totally stay out of? Is there deals to be had there? What are your thoughts on that?
99% of you sit on your hands. Build your stack, sit on your hands, because you don't know what you're doing. You could lose a lot of money. That's how I sold Maxi at $30 or $10 a piece, because people like to click buttons, and somebody was going to get it. Just happened to hit my order. When you don't understand liquidity, you will wreck yourself. If you think you're just going to jump in, okay, let me ask you this. Do you think you could take one martial arts class and jump in the MMA ring? If you think you can, you're going to get the same ass beaten when you jump into ratio trading and think you're gonna take that on, and that's what it comes down to.
Right. Yeah. Randy says no limit orders, no ratio trading. That's fair.
Randy knows what's up, man.
This is fair. Yeah. So you're saying 90% off? That theoretically would be a price.
Yeah, the 4 zeros.
A floor. Now look. You guys got to understand. I'm talking about the OA supporting a floor. That doesn't mean where the market is going to decide the price is. The market is going to decide where the price is.
Very quickly.
Sellers and buyers fighting it out, but there's going to be a floor set so that you have a large amount of liquidity so it never goes to 0. That's a good thing. Starting price being low is a good thing. That means it can only go up, right?
Right.
But it's not, people immediately, oh, I'm not getting my $10 for my dollar bill. It's going to freak people out because they're not understanding. I don't like having these conversations because if people don't understand what you're saying, they automatically go into default fear and they don't grasp what this opportunity actually is.
Sure.
This is a phenomenal opportunity in a never seen environment that is being created as it should have been without all the I'm trying not to use curse words, all the something
about
right
but you gotta keep in mind most things in crypto are designed to extract value. not create value.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's a great point.
this is being designed as a monument to create value. They don't need any more money. What they need is a system that people can use. You understand?
Yeah.
That's the difference. It's a necessity. Bitcoin is falling over because that 40,000 transactions. Bitcoin is falling over. It's spaghetti code. Richard's been saying spaghetti code, spaghetti code, spaghetti code,
For
spaghetti
years.
code. As in, you pull a thread and then all this shit ball of wax unravels, right? So he's been saying that and like, no, 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 never gonna happen. No, no, no. Here we are. Here we are. Bitcoin's collapsing. Ethereum fees are through the roof. What's left to use, guys? What's left to use?
Yeah.
I mean, I believe we are the Burger King to McDonald's. I mean, I think we're going to give Ethereum a run for its money. And I really believe that now because I just see all the building that's happening and all the
We're building a shopping mall.
Yeah,
that's been my analogy. We've been building a shopping mall this whole time.
It's
People
incredible.
been running up and down the road, not paying attention, and then one day they're going to be driving down the road and go, "Jesus Christ, when did they put that in here?"
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. So Johnny, and you're of the mindset that these thick liquidity pools, it sounds like they'll be like from the jump. There will be thick liquidity and ratio set, and so people that want to dump, they could go dump into them and get poor value for their sacrifices and do whatever they're going to do. And then once the bridge opens, people can, of course, do whatever they're going to do.
Yeah,
and the reason that I asked, because on all the test nets, liquidities has been essentially like non-existent at the beginning. You couldn't do anything of note initially because it was so thin. But you feel like mainnet will be different.
Yeah, because I think if you want to encourage people to provide liquidity, you have to start it. If you want the most liquid pools on any exchange, you've got to prime it. Okay. Right. Now, so here's the thing, right? So the OA can always mitigate that. Say they want to incentivize more yield for the users.
Mm-hmm.
Once others have come in, they can remove that liquidity. Okay. But the only person with a large enough liquidity to start the initial pools without possible impermanent loss is the OA.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is they'll start it, they'll prime the pump, and then if people see that that's a stable pool and enough people come in and participate decentralizedly, then they can pull away some of that, so allow people to earn. Okay. But they have, in order to create a safe path for whales to come in and not risk impermanent loss, you have to create large enough pools that would protect them so that they can move in without the impermanent loss. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. We see it in stablecoin liquidity providing. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest pools out there with the least amount of, you don't get that many fees, but they're widely participated in. Yeah.
And theoretically, if I'm the OA and it's up to me, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, I would want really thick liquidity between, all of the stuff that isn't a stable, and then relatively more thin liquidity, like X.
Yes.
Pretty thin with a stable.
So that was the argument, was that the price can't pump if you have large liquidity pools. Yes, it can. Because the only liquidity pool that matters as far as price is its value in USDC.
Right.
Or DAI or whatever your stable is.
Whatever it is, yeah.
That liquidity pool can be smaller, right? But like I said, I don't think it's going to be a small liquidity pool at all. I just think in order to have a large liquidity pool and still for the price to move like that, you have to set it at a lower price.
Mm.
And that's why I'm saying start it out low, and that gives you a base price, and let everybody hash around in there. The pool needs to be large to absorb all this initial hype.
Right. And then you can always pull more later.
And then you can as it gets more stable and as other people add to the pool, you can then remove it, right?
Yeah.
And you can thin it out. But you have to have a baseline, right? It's like it's building the structure. It's building the foundation to uh, build the monument that we're going to build here.
Right.
Yep.
It's training wheels.
Yeah.
The OA has the ability to give us training wheels and point us in the right direction. What the market decides after that is going to be purely up to us. But you need to understand, when you are setting up the candy store in a store that you're opening, you get to set the prices. That's it. You decide how many gumballs are worth gumdrops. You get to decide that. Okay. And there's nothing anybody else can do about it. So you might as well accept the rules of the game right now and understand that if you play this game correctly, that you'll win. If you want to bitch, whine, and moan about it, just go find yourself another ecosystem. Maybe go sit on Bitcoin with your frozen transactions, or pay your $3,000 Ethereum costs. Whatever works for you. I mean, if you don't want to play here with us, that's fine. You can go over there.
Solana's proven itself to be pretty solid.
And Solana, that's down every other week. I bet y'all wish your girlfriend went down as much as Solana.
Oh God! And Sprack, I'll be fighting you, bro, over that.
Yeah, we'll all be fighting for those prices.
We'll be in there duking it out.
Okay.
So when people cry, you buy. There you go. When people cry, you buy. And I really highly recommend watching Crypto Coffee's dollar cost average video. Yep. It's something like the truth the truth that you don't want to hear, the truth about crypto, or something like that.
Okay.
It wasn't that long ago, but the dollar cost average strategy, the secret people don't want you to know, or something like that. But that's very important for you to understand the power of dollar cost averaging and having a long-term mindset and not playing this shit like a lottery ticket.
Oh, I'm the biggest advocate of dollar cost averaging. We talk about it all the time. I started my journey in Hex when Hex was around 33 cents. So did Dane. I think Dane might have been a little bit higher, but I bought pretty heavy up there. And then I waited some time, and Hex kept dropping. And then I started my DCA strategy, and I went heavy. My cost basis now is around 3.5 cents.
Awesome.
I started at 30 cents. So the DCA strategy gave me the opportunity to, now I'm in profit right now as we're speaking. I'm in profit on my Hex bag, and I anticipate I'm going to continue to be for the remainder of our journey, right? And even if we drop down back below that 1.5, 7 cents again, well, I'm going to net buyer again, right? And so just that DCA is so powerful. It gives you an opportunity to correct any mistakes you made.
People FOMO in at tops.
Yep.
And then they get mad and they sell because the price goes down, and they give up their position. And then
when I came in, I didn't understand how market cycle works. I didn't understand where we're at in the market cycle, and that's what I did. I fumbled. In. So it was a lesson learned. But the DCA strategy, man, it can't be beat.
Right. Yeah, because you are reducing your cost basis. I mean, it's like getting you don't get better than 90%. And we are getting a little bit of dumpage in Hex right now at the moment. It's apparently people are not happy that they don't get to make the rules of the game, you know. They don't like it when you tell them the truth. They don't. But that's the problem, man. You know, if people don't understand what you're telling, they'll automatically react with fear and anxiety and everything. It's not that difficult, guys. It's just having a long time frame, not just buying once at the top and getting mad and quitting, but being able to build the position over time and wait for higher prices. You know, I like to equate it to, like, you know, collecting toys, right? You know, I've got like all kinds of different collectibles. I've got collectibles that are over 15 years old, right? But I would go to stores and buy up like full supplies. You know, I'd buy all the toys off the shelf. In fact, I was actually kind of pissed at myself because I realized it's like when I was a kid, there were certain toys that I couldn't get, right? Because they'd always be sold out. And then I realized that some 30-year-old bastard was going to the store and buying them all up and putting them on a secondary market. And then as I was standing there with my pile of toys in my 30s, I said, I am that bastard. I am the reason why some kid is not going to get that toy and some parent is going to have to overpay for that thing, you know. And it's like, oh my God, it's like, that's what I become. That's what I become.
It's full cycle.
It's a cycle. It's a cycle. But the point is, you don't buy things If as a collector, you're used to waiting. You buy things, you allow them to appreciate in value, and then you ration the market with those things.
Yeah.
You don't box them all up. Now I've sold collections. I have sold collections before, but you never get a value out of those collections. You are always selling your collection at a discount, and you're going to hate yourself, for selling at a discount, because those things are going to go up in value later, and you're going to be mad. You're like, oh my God, I gave those away for a couple $1,000. It's like, I can't believe I did that. Even the card game, man. The card game, we didn't get into this card game as a collectible. Nobody thought these things had any value. We played Iron Man Magic. You lose a card, throw it. I mean, seriously, we were playing Iron Man Magic like that. You lose a good card, rip, chuck it off the thing. But we could go to the store at any point in time, right, and buy these things because they were readily available. Nobody really wanted them at first. You could just buy boxes of boxes of boxes of them. It wasn't a big deal, right? We didn't know they were ever going to go up in value. We didn't know it was going to be a phenomenon. We didn't know they were just going to go through the roof. But guess what they did? There's cards that are $3,000-$4,000. Okay. There's graded cards. Like literally they grade cards like they grade baseball cards now. We were just playing a damn card game. That's it. We were just playing a damn card game. It became a market. Why? Because of adoption. It became adoption. And that's where we're at. People don't understand what creates value, where value comes from, what things are going to win, what things aren't. You never know what's going to take off and how fast it can take off. I can't imagine. Can you imagine shuffling a $2,000 card in the middle of your deck over and over, shuffling that? Having a deck that's worth $1 million and just shuffling that deck. Because that's where it is now. Some of those cards, you stack them up together, you could have $1 million stack of cards in a deck and, just rifle right through and just shuffle the crap out of them. So, I mean, value is subjective. And so it's always been funny to me when someone say, no one ever buy it. Dude, there's people buying stuff that they shouldn't all the time.
Right.
There's 50 billion products in this world that you would never dream of buying, but somebody's putting money down on it.
Yeah. What would you say to the people, I see it all over Telegram where they say, oh, Richard Hart, especially Pulsechain and Pulsex, they can't go up that high because that would mean the people
market cap
sacrificed a bunch of money. They're going to be worth trillionaires. Like what would you say to that?
It has nothing to do with market cap. That's where people look at it. There's a difference. It's how many are in the case. It's available supply. It's not total supply.
Yep.
It's available supply. It's how that supply is rationed onto the market. It's a matter of whether or not the demand exceeds the sell pressure, and it can happen. How do you think stores run out of items? Because there's only so many in the case, right? Are they buying all the toilet paper in the world? No, they're buying all that's in the case, right? That's how the shelves end up there. And you know what? That's how you end up with premiums. Because when you go there to buy it and you can't find it there, somebody on the corner is standing there with a box going, hey, I got it here. It's going to cost you twice as much. That's how things work. Right. It's just amazing that people get into investing and they don't understand how basic market works, how basic supply and demand works, how value is created, how supply and demand work. It's like, I don't understand. It's like you guys, not you guys, but I mean, you watch these people and it's like, and these guys are crypto personalities. They don't understand basic concepts of value. They don't understand the basic concepts of arbitrage. They're not business people. They bought a coin, it went up, and their personalities, and they're paid to basically be paid actors and promote whatever the script says, right?
A lot of people taking advice from lotto winners.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, look, it's like kind of like the only job they're even qualified for,
At this point,
it's like, I wouldn't trust half of those crypto influencers to flip my hamburger, but and they probably got fired from McDonald's, so they had to come up with some way to make money. So what did they do? Now they're an actor. So I really put crypto influencer below burger flipper, and I know you guys are real estate guys and you're doing this as your fun time type stuff, but you're in business. You're businessmen presenting business and marketing strategies and concepts, not some kid that made a shit coin out of his mom and dad's basement and got lucky, you know?
Right.
Um,
Right. It feels like there's a decent chance that you're in the camp that Hex could do another 10,000x this cycle. Is that fair to say?
See, I hate throwing that kind of stuff out there. Can it do? Yes. Will most
Sure.
people be there when it does? No.
No. Yeah.
Because if you've never experienced 100x, if they get into that 1000x,
it's
getting to that 10,000x, imagine climbing out on the outside of the Statue of Liberty. Okay, on the outside of it and climbing up it. That's a 10x. Now multiply it, because that's what it feels like when the price is moving up. Okay, people don't understand. To 10x your money, to make $100, $1,000, that's a lot. You ain't gonna really do that at the casino unless you're having a really good night.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Unless you win the lottery, people are excited about changing $100 into $1,000. That's a lot. Now, changing that $100 into $10,000.
That's
Insane.
Now changing $1 into $10,000. That's a 10,000x. Most people tap out long before then. Look, the way Hex is designed, it's to protect you from you. You're making a contract with yourself to protect you from you. That's what it is.
But it'll let you out at a cost.
It'll let you out at a cost if you break your word to yourself.
Yeah.
But the design is to keep you from these behaviors, to keep you from to incentivize the positive behavior that's going to make you win. You know, there's that Greg who sold his 1,700 Bitcoin at 30 cents, and he goes, now it's $8.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where we're at now. If anything can do another 10,000x from the lows, it's going to be Hex. If anything can do it, really do it. And it's not because something like a meme coin that has learned from supply control and rationing demand,
low liquidity,
all these wonderful things that I have said.
Yeah.
So see, the problem is you start educating the scammers on how to scam better.
Yeah.
When you start explaining how the system actually functions and works, they can then replicate that appearance by trading coins amongst themselves, right? And then what it comes down to is how much liquidity is actually available at set price points. Because when everybody tries to get out all at once, and there's no real reason to hold other than the fact that you bought it to make money, when everybody exits all at once and they start exiting because it comes down, it's a cascading effect, and it's just horrible.
Right.
And what we are trying to teach people is delayed gratification and saving money over time, giving people a reason to save again, because saving works. When you're able to add coins to your coins and earn more coins on your coins, saving works. You always have more coins. When you are just betting on whether or not the price goes up and down, you are dependent on if the price goes up and down. You're not building a position. You're not saving over time.
Yeah. If I know there's going to be new people, there's probably some newer people in the stream. There will be new people that come across the stream in the future. You know, so if I'm new, I didn't sacrifice for Pulsechain or PulseX. I don't hardly have any Hex. I'm not going to hardly get any copied over to Pulsechain. How might I think about dollar cost averaging into these assets? We're going to go and watch Crypto Coffee stream out later, but give us a summary. You know, would it make sense to dollar cost average into all of the Richard Hart stuff? Would you hedge one way or another? How would you think about that as a new person?
I think Hex wins. I think it depends on what kind of player you are. You know, if you want to own a little of each, just to have a little bit of each of the ecosystem and see how things do, maybe see if there is a fluctuation in price where you can trade back and forth. But usually Usually the trading back and forth just ends up wrecking you because you always end up with less coins.
Yep.
You know, that really, if you, this is a savings account. This is a long-term savings account. This is to take money that you don't need right now and send to your future self. This is not a get rich quick scheme. This is not a lump sum lottery mentality scenario. You're not going to get rich immediately, but what you will learn is good behaviors and how to save over time and increase your position over time. And then maybe you might be able to take a little profit that might change your life in the future. That's the way that I look at this. I have never tried to promote this as some kind of lottery ticket. And I think that draws the wrong people. I think this is a really solid, stable financial product. And crypto is mostly gambling. In all honesty, I think we are appealing to the wrong crowd when we're trying to talk to the crypto people. I don't think they want to save. I think they need that adrenaline. I think they need that dopamine. I think they need their memes.
They
I
do.
think they need that hit, of excitement.
They want to put their $100 in the slot machine.
Yeah.
And spin. That's what they want.
And
they want the Pepe token.
And I think this is a really strong financial product that could be used as a substitution for an IRA or a 401k, long-term sort of savings account that's going to earn you yield over time. And as more people realize that it's stable, through like the Lindy effect, that, the longer something stays around, the better it is. How do you think Bitcoin got up to where it was? It wasn't always up at those prices. People decided to utilize it. Now it's like falling apart on them. So there's that problem. But, it takes time. It takes time. Time is the most valuable thing you have. You should be rewarded for it. So if you put your money away, you should earn. See, banks took that shit away. Banks took that away from us. You're no longer incentivized to keep your money in the bank. No. So if you're not incentivized to keep money in the bank, shouldn't you keep it somewhere where you can be incentivized to do so?
Yeah.
Hexdex took a thing of change and turned it into 10 acres of land in Montana.
Yeah, I've heard his story a few times.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. That's beautiful, right? Wouldn't you like to be able to do that?
Absolutely.
I don't think everybody has to be gun-ho and all in. I think there's plenty of opportunity in Hex at the price it is now. A 20X ain't no joke. Mm-hmm. We're going to hit $1. Right now, you have the option to pay 6 cents for a future dollar. And before Pulsechain launches, guess what? The bank's having a deal. You buy one, you get one free.
Right. Do you think
$2 for 6 cents? I think that's a pretty good deal. I think I might buy a few of those. It makes sense to me.
Do you think the fork has already happened? Do you think people, if they bought now, they still have a pretty good chance of getting a copy?
Okay. So here's how the fork works. It's running parallel right now. Everything that happens on Ethereum happens on Pulse. So you have time until you hear live. Because what happens at that point is they no longer talk to each other. They go their separate ways.
I mean, they could have forked it, though. They could have forked it last night and not launched yet and said live.
And
we still have the RPC settings.
The RPC setting will be 369. It's not running yet. Okay. It's not live yet. It'll be running parallel, daisy chained together. And then when it's live, it's going to be live. You'll know when it's live.
You don't think there won't be hardly any lag between like fork and then Richard saying we're alive?
There might be, but everybody's freaking watching everything right now.
Oh, so everything.
It's I know. It's crazy.
Everybody's watching everything.
There's a YouTube channel that's watching. It's called Pulsechain Alarm.
Yeah.
I keep it on while I'm sleeping now. It's like,
and guys, it doesn't do you any good to rush. Don't be in a hurry. It's going to happen. Your package is coming. You're going to get what you're going to get.
We're at the door looking. Like, where's?
Yeah, you're at the door looking for the package to come. It's coming. Don't worry about it. If you're in a hurry, that hurry mindset that you have is exactly what's going to get you to jump in, ratio trade, end up with a smaller bag than you ever had, and then you're just going to regret yourself. Regret it for the rest of your life. You'd be like,
Agreed.
oh, I had to go and rush in there and stick my head in. Just like Richard said, don't FOMO day one into Hex. What do people do? They FOMO day one. They got the worst possible price in that time frame. Now, there's hope for you. If you get the worst possible price in that particular time frame, there's hope for you because later down the road it won't be anymore. But that could take a year or two.
Yeah.
I mean, are you here for the lottery ticket mentality, or are you here to be part of an ecosystem that's going to grow and grow value over time? Or are you just trying to get in and out? Because the people with the most regret are the people that sold Hex year one. Seriously. Selling Hex year one was the dumbest thing you could do. People that sold big payday. Oh, we're there now. I promise you, everybody that's selling Hex right now at these prices is going to be kicking themselves so hard because it's just like big payday. Pre-big payday was the best prices you was going to get.
Yep.
When everybody thought, okay, now's the time, sell the news, yay! That was the best time.
I mean, there was a huge dump after big payday. You could have bought back massive amounts had you sold and then bought back. Could you have not?
There was a big dump pre-big payday.
Oh, I apologize. I think I mixed.
And then the price ran up, and then it dumped again.
Sure.
So, anyway, we're talking sub-cent anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Right.
This is the point. Sub-cent doesn't matter. Hex and pennies someday is not going to matter.
No.
If you go to a store and an item is $1.03 or $1.06 or $1.07, how much do you say it is? You say it's $1. You don't even say the 7 cents. Right. If I were to say, tell me what Bitcoin price is right now, what would you say?
30,000.
Yeah, you'd say it's 28,000 or so.
28.
How many hundreds? How many tens?
Oh, I
How
don't
many
know.
It's 280,000.
See, now you're guessing. All you know is the first two numbers.
27,300.
All you know, all your brain really focuses on is the first two numbers.
Right.
What if you move the decimal point, guys? I mean, that's it. You just move the decimal point. Nobody talks about hundredths of a hex anymore. We did. Nobody talks about tenths of a penny anymore. We did. Now it's either a penny or a half a penny. We don't count tenths anymore, right? We'll say 6.5 cents, right? We don't say tenths of a penny, 8/10 of a penny, right? We don't say that anymore. And guess what? Someday we're not going to say pennies anymore. We're going to say hex is $2. We might say 2.30, but we're never going to say 2.31, 2.32, right, 2.34, and it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. Not in the future. It matters now because you have recency bias and you've got deal bias, and everybody's in this particular time window where they don't see beyond that time window. Sure. Because most people live paycheck to paycheck. It's not their fault. Most people live paycheck to paycheck. They can't see next week.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we're programmed. We get credit cards. Why? Buy now, pay later.
Yep.
Why do we get in so much debt? Is because we don't see the future. It's like, whatever, I'll deal with it in the future. Right?
Right.
Because they don't think about the future. That's why the debt system is so effective, because we act without thinking about the impact that our decisions will have on our future selves. Because we're living in the now. We're so in a hurry that life just passes us right by. Opportunities pass us right by.
Here's a if you want to address this one, I think you've hit it on the head, but I think it's good to add a little bit of more clarity since there's still questions. So if the ratios are set, can it keep hex down a ton? Wondering if the ratio of 1 penny is 2 hex and Pulse is 0.0001. Isn't hex 200x less when Pulse launches?
No, because the pairing comes from the 1 hex could be worth 1 million Pulse day of launch. Yeah, it could be. Why? Because it can be set anywhere the OAC sit. That's why. See, we're creating a new universe here with new rules. And guess what? We get to set it up. So a dollar has a dollar value in dollar, in the Ethereum network, but a dollar might not buy you as much pulse as a hex could. There's no reason that ratio has to be set that way. You can say, well, that's not fair. Why should hex be able to buy more pulse than a dollar? That's not fair. Life's not fair. Sorry, this is a new universe. It can be set however it's set. So just to clarify, guys, I am talking about what can be done, not what will be done. So don't say, well, Johnny, you said. I'm telling you what is possible, what is mathematically possible, what potential scenarios could happen. I'm not in control. I can't make them happen. All I can say is what my idea of the ideal situation would be and how I would utilize it if I was creating the candy store. Okay.
Johnny just has to say that for legal reasons, he is the OA. So
he's not Greg the Duck.
I'm trying to be as truthful and honest and transparent with you on my theory and the way that I think. And I'm sharing that with you, and I don't have to.
Sure.
Keep in mind, I don't have to.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing it in a way to confuse you. I'm doing it in a way so that you open your mind and not have a set line of thinking with your blinders on and realize there are other possibilities and there are things that are going to bite you in the ass if you think nothing has to change or it has to be a certain way and you're expecting things to have to be and they might not be, right? And this is a unique situation that has not happened in crypto before because it's not driven by the same motives.
I think that's a really fascinating point. Yeah,
that is.
And that's something that a lot of people aren't taking into account. And we've seen it with a lot of people promoting other projects and protocols. And by all means, if you want to go play in other systems, you have every right to do so. But I think the fact that if you are a believer in Hex and Richard Hart products, then you're a believer in the OA and the power that the OA can bring to a system and the opportunity to create something really unique here. Which
it's incredible because
we're all here for the ride.
You hit the nail on the head. The motives are different. There's been nothing created in crypto that has these type of motives. I love it, man. It's beautiful.
And coin critic here, he's saying the markets don't stay in a static state. No, they will move. But what I'm saying is you can create a foundation for others to build on to point it in a certain direction. And like I said, you can incentivize behavior. You can guide it. It's like training wheels.
Right.
Okay? You can direct it with trading wheels. Yes, liquidity will change, bonding will change, ratios will change. Nothing will probably be indefinite. Okay?
That's markets.
But you can point it in the right direction.
Yeah,
sure. Are you going to be putting up LP, Johnny? Is that something that you're interested in, or is that a game you primarily want to stay out of?
So here's the thing. There's another thing, right? Do you want to incentivize people to provide liquidity, or would you rather them put if they're searching yield, would you rather put them in Hex and want them to stake?
You want both.
Because like I said, if liquidity pools are small, you can make more in a liquidity pool than you can in Hex.
Yeah, sure.
Or if Hex is getting the benefits from all the liquidity pools and you can stake it, then that's kind of a given. There's no permanent loss, no problem, right? So I don't know. So like I said, if you don't know how to liquidity provide, you might not want to screw with it. Might not be beneficial to you, right?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But if the pools are really, really large, that does create a safe path to let everybody give it a try.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I want some of that incentive token.
Yeah.
And it's funny that everybody gets all excited about the incentive token. It's a coupon for pulls.
Yep.
That's all it is. It's going to have liquidity provided with pulls, and you're going to be able to exchange it for pulls. That's it. That's what it is. So
I like coupons, Johnny. I like.
But if your coupon that you hold and you can
a lot of
with another thing, and it produces lots more coupons and lots more of the thing.
And those coupons get me a lot more
Tell
of the
me
main
it is
thing.
interested in a lot of coupons.
Yeah, I'll play that game.
That's interesting.
Oh yeah, coin-centric. Yeah, so yeah, you can force parity through arbitrage. Okay, and what I'm saying is, if there's 10 billion hex and 10 billion hex, if you can always trade a hex for a hex on either chain, then arbitrage will buy the cheaper hex to trade it for the expensive hex, or one side is sell down. You'll get these bots that will balance the system, because one hex can always be traded for one hex, regardless of what its US dollar value is. You understand? Because that's just pairing the two hexes. In order to change that ratio, someone would have to have 10 billion to change it from a 1-to-1 to 2-to-1 ratio. So
Right.
that is a way to prime that and create a path for people that want to get off Ethereum. Instead of forcing them to sell their tokens to buy on Pulse side, you have to create a conduit or a path so people can escape. And Richard already told people, look, he's building this to save hexagons. So why wouldn't he build a bridge to let people migrate safely without losing what they have over there, right?
Hmm.
Now, I mean, it's not enough to just say he's already building us a brand new house with everything that we own over there. Okay. But to allow a bridge on top of that that allows you to migrate your assets that you already have on that chain over to the new chain, that's just extra bonus, man.
I agreed.
Are you going to be keeping any of your stuff on Ethereum, Johnny? Or are you interested in bridging that over when you have the opportunity?
I'm stuck on Ethereum with a lot of stuff. I've got 15-year stakes.
Sure.
I don't have anything significant ending for like 2 years. So
Sure.
all I can do is be a net buyer.
Yeah.
All I can do is be a net buyer. So I have to.
Are you a net buyer on ETH after Pulsechain launches?
No.
Yeah.
No. The only time I will ever buy ETH is when I'm ending a stake.
Sure. Oh, I apologize. I should have said, are you a net buyer of Hex over on the Ethereum chain after Pulsechain launches?
I'm no, not. I'm not messing with the Ethereum network.
Yeah, you're more interested in
I'm
Pulsechain.
going to use what I have to, and I'm gonna migrate over time, and I'm going to support the Pulsechain network. And like I said, I'm going to, because of potential pairings, because of the amplification effect, I see myself as being a net buyer of Pulse for the first year or two, because I want to be an Ethereum whale. I want to be to Pulse what the God whale is to
Ethereum.
Ethereum.
I like it.
I did too.
So I'm all about building that position the best I can.
Yeah. So would you set a little LP at launch? Oh, would you set an LP at launch or wait? I think a lot of that's going to depend on what the incentives are like and your willingness to potentially suffer impermanent loss.
Okay, all right. Right now, I don't suggest anybody do any liquidity providing whatsoever on the Ethereum network.
Yeah.
Because you are going to get locked in and have to pay an extortion gas fee to get it back out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. LP providing on Ethereum, I've watched many of you do it, and you've lost money. You don't even know how much money you've lost. It's absolutely ridiculous, because you're paying a fee to set that liquidity and a fee to exit that liquidity. So, and since these gas prices are fluctuating so violently, you might have $300 in there, and it might cost you $300 to get it back out.
Yep.
Or by the time you go to get it back out, it costs you $1,000 because they decided to spike the network again. So what Pulse is also going to allow to do is it's going to allow people to set those liquidity pools for penny fees and be able to go in and out and actually utilize those liquidity pools in a way that hasn't been able to be done on Ethereum, that doesn't leave people left out.
Right. Cool.
So if you're going to provide liquidity, then Pulse is going to be the place to play with it. And I would suggest, if you want to do that, then you might not get the largest yield from the larger pools, but those are going to be the safest pools that you're going to get to be able to earn a yield without incurring permanent loss.
Right.
Sure. I like it. Well, we've almost been going for 2 hours. This has been great, Johnny. I think we've covered most of the questions, which has been excellent. Is there any last parting words you want to share, or talk about where people can find you if they want to interact, any of that type of stuff?
I keep trying to hide. Y'all keep finding me.
That's because, Johnny, you're so colorful on Twitter, bro. I mean, you're the most entertaining, I think, Hexican on Twitter. I watch every single video of yours because I get a giggle out of every time you bashing the haters, and you talk. You make good.
They've been few and far between here lately.
Yeah, but
you can imagine why.
So if you guys are following him on Twitter, do yourself a favor and follow him and watch his videos. And I learned stuff by watching your videos too, man.
CCFX Studios on Twitter there.
Yep.
It's not Johny Chaos. It's CCFX Studios on Twitter there. If you guys are looking for me on Twitter. Yeah. Actually, I want to touch on one more thing. I want to talk about validators.
Okay.
Because everybody wants to be a validator. It's the cool new thing to do. And I want to talk to you about the cool new thing to do because nobody's telling you this.
Damn it, Johnny. I'm going to be a validator.
People are selling you equipment, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I am so happy that the community has come together and trying to provide solutions and creating businesses and helping other people get started and being part of the ecosystem. I'm not down on that at all. But even if you were buying Bitcoin miners back in the day and trying to mine, you would have been better off buying the coins.
I know you're going
instead of trying to mine and spending the money on mining equipment, you would have been better off just buying the coins, especially coins that are starting below subset. Okay, so if you guys want to increase your position, you might just be better off buying coins than trying to buy equipment and assigning yourself a job. Validating is not for everybody, even though everybody can do it.
Sure.
It might not be for you. And I just hate for people to spend a lot of money on equipment when literally that money could be going into the system and filling their own wallets with the coins that they're trying to get to begin with doing the validation. We have plenty of validators, and that's awesome. And if you want to participate in the network, you are welcome to. And I think that's great. But you need to understand that it is going to be more profitable, profit-wise, because you're going to be mad because you're not going to be making much. When you're making a whole bunch of coins and they're just pennies, it doesn't mean a lot to you. And I think we've already experienced that through Hex when people dump like crazy because they were only worth a penny at the time, so they didn't seem like they were worth much to them, right? These things appreciate in value over time, but if you want to acquire more, you're going to be better off just buying the coin.
And I think a lot of that depends on your bag size too. Matt Motley says miners are different. If you have big bags, you can make profits from running a validator. Plus, you look super cool doing it. So there's that as well.
Well, there's that. Motley spends money on all of these ventures. He made like 100 MetaMask wallets expecting a MetaMask drop. He likes getting into everything.
Sure.
So he's already got probably 100, 200 validators running himself. So yeah, Motley, in that case, I'm helping you out, brother, because that'd mean less validators and more profit for you. So just let people buy the damn coins.
Sure. Awesome. Well, cool, guys. We appreciate everybody attending. This was a really well-attended show. We appreciate you being here. Smash the likes. Subscribe to the channels. We're trying our best to pump everybody's bag, bring more awareness to the community and helping people have exposure to what we feel like are the best assets being in the Richard Heart ecosystem. So with that, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us today, Johnny.
Thanks, guys. See ya.